Good morning, good evening, or good afternoon, wherever you're based in the world. It is a pleasure to be here today with Albert, and we are the team, part of the team from ShapesXR. Hi, Albert. Nice to have you with us.
Hi, Gabriel. Thank you. It's a pleasure to be here.
Nice, nice. So, I mean, as usually, this is some of the things we do, right? We gather people that are interested, that are inspired by AR, VR, mixed reality. They want to design for this new world. We have a lot of stuff coming, right? Both from a product perspective, but also from the industry perspective, right? We have new hardware coming. I think it's 1 week, right, Albert? When is that headset supposedly coming up? Is it the 5th, right?
Yeah, I guess so. It's fifth or eighth. I don't know. Yeah, more or less.
Let's not say anything. Let's not say names about fruits or other things because we might jinx it. But hey, welcome to everybody. So maybe let us know where you guys are from. So I'm actually based in the Netherlands. Albert, where are you? Because you have been traveling a bit. Now, where are you based?
Yeah, well, I've been traveling, but now I'm in Spain, in
Okay.
a city called Tortosa, close to Tarragona, Barcelona, more or less, in the north of
So
Spain.
homeland still, right? For you.
Homeland, yeah.
Nice. So today we are going to talk about how to maximize your work, your 2D work, and bring it easily in shapes and in VR, right? Other they're actually the same thing. And we do have also, we do have, by the way, people start saying, hi, hello, Smaranda from Stockholm. I hope I pronounced your name correctly. We have Genki XR Chicago, Polyform Studio. Hi, Polyform Studio from Vancouver. And we have Matt from Brooklyn, Bogdan from Bucharest. So we do have certainly a few people coming, and by the way, also people that might be joining from LinkedIn, same thing. But I would like to start. Oh, we have Tello from Sao Paulo, all the way from Tanzania. Wait, where is it? Where is it? From Tanzania, East Africa. Hi, Bernard. I had to put you in on the spot. We also have one of the regular, Adrian from Paris. So great. Hello, everybody. And today I want to go directly in the mid of the conversation, and let's maybe briefly start. Oh, before we do that, you guys are always have priority. I always say it. So I will throw away any of the questions that I have to give you guys the opportunity to actually chip in and ask questions to Albert. But before we do that, Albert, why don't you introduce yourself? What was your professional journey?
Okay, hello everyone. It's a pleasure. I see some Spanish people here as well. It's nice.
Here we go.
Well,
Here we go. I got like also Artem from
so,
Barcelona.
good. Hola a todos. Well, my journey. That's so I have a background in UX UI for 11 years or so, and that's my main background. And yeah, so a couple of years ago, I started to get interested in all the VR stuff. I've always loved the 3D stuff. Actually, it was one of my frustrated professions. I decided to go to digital product and so on. And then, yeah, I discovered VR, and all of a sudden, so, productive applications, the thing that I've been doing for years in UX, UI, apps, desktop apps, and the 3D world just came together. They mixed together in front of me. And it was like, okay, VR is, or 3D is not about gaming, only gaming anymore. On the other hand, I love games and gaming, but my expertise is in productive apps. So all of a sudden these two worlds came together, and it was like an eureka for me. It was like, okay, that's maybe my opportunity to do something here, and let's take a look if my background as a UX UI makes sense in this new environment. So I joined the project as a UX UI designer for free in Facebook, like, hey, I want to learn VR stuff, I want to know that and collaborate there. So I helped them for 3 or 4 months, and then I joined professionally, and I realized that the UX UI made a lot of sense in VR applications, and the way at the end of the day is a user experience, right? So the way they do it needs to be easy. All the basics were exactly the same. So then I joined a couple more projects, now this time professionally, doing a 6 months projects or so with Unity developers and so on. So, and then I started to, gather all that I was learning and writing articles and trying to get as much designers to this field, because I had this feeling that we really need a lot of UX UI designers here now. So that's why I started to write articles and stuff and trying to get them all here. Then I started with Shapes.
Yeah, indeed, and we have been very lucky. And I think that one of the our first interaction was about some of the articles that you wrote. And I think this is maybe first. I would like to ask a question: how many people are already working on XR currently? Maybe curious to know if you are already working professionally or if you are looking for a career shift. Would be curious to know, because one of the things that you actually mentioned, Albert, was the importance of building your own name to some extent, even if that is, for example, like an article that you do by analyzing other apps or show in a way your expertise. So, and I think that was my impression, but then of course chip in please with what was the reaction. But building those articles and that knowledge about what you were doing, that I think was certainly like a valuable, important point for positioning you as a designer.
Yeah, definitely, totally.
So and we have also, of course, Polyform Studio is saying we are building XR daily. Well, I think then are you using Shapes, because that's one of the things we're going to discuss today. So one of the another thing we mentioned about article, and the other thing was a design system, right? Because of course, when we step into this, it is like one of the first steps is, okay, how do we build components that works for this new medium? And you are actually the author of Float Grid. By the way, does anybody has heard or is actually using Float Grid? If you don't, you should check absolutely the template in Figma, and then we're going to show it also maybe some of its application, I think, rethemed, I think, but around that. So what about why a design system for VR? How is it? What was the need?
Yeah. Well, I built float grids because I need it, first of all. So I need a design system. When I started with all this project, I was like, I came from UI UX, and you need a design system. If not, you need to create one. And that was the main reason. I need something to work faster, to work agile. And then I realized that there were nothing like this, and the all that I was finding around in Unity Store everywhere, in the apps that I was trying, they didn't look good. Like, so I think, why can not we have in VR good looking UI as we have in mobiles and desktop? Of course, the industry is not that mature. So there is a huge industry with millions of dollars and euros and everything in the mobile and desktop. That's obvious, because we all have these devices. But in terms of design, so my main goal was, okay, I want a UI that looks great, that is cool. And then I faced Unity. And Unity was
what does it
tough.
mean, looks great, looks cool? I mean, can you be a bit more precise? What does that mean, actually?
It's both. So it's not just that looks great, but it's also like that has the basics, So when you design digital products, you try to reuse as much as you can. You want patterns, you have to get creative, but you have to make things work. So you need patterns, you need the very basics in UI, that if there is UI UX designers here, they know, like styles, like types of buttons, like spaces, like layouts, so especially layouts, and all this stuff. So what was missing? So in this project that I was working on, it was like I have to start over and over and over again. So I was thinking, like, okay, if I had to create a new VR app, I should invest a lot of time doing this UI work properly, and when I finish, start developing my app or designing the app. So that's why UI and UX design and development is that fast, because we use design systems and we start designing right away. We don't need to design a design system every time. And that was the goal, and that's the dream. So having a cheap design system with all the sounds, vibrations, components, everything, hand menus, great interactions, but for VR.
Right. And by the way, we've got people working at Arvora, Brazilian studio focused on VR. Hi, Tello. And we do have also people working, building their portfolio. Unity portfolio room for design reviews. Then we do have 2D UI designer about to start a couple of courses to upskill for XR. Great, you are also in the right place as well. So we do have currently in a UX bootcamp, but designing for VR is the goal. Yeah. And I think there are certainly a lot of, UX concepts that move and transfer, of course, to VR. So that is absolutely one of the journey, one of the perk of having a UX background, right? But so you mentioned about building a design system. So let's say that, I don't know how many of the people that are listening, do you already have a design system for your app, your products, or are you thinking of building one? Because where did you start, right? So how do you start designing Figma? What are the high-level rules that you should follow in order to make sure that it's going to look decent? And then you can always improve, but what are the basics that you would say, okay, this, you need to have it, otherwise you're not going to go forward?
Yeah, so there's three main concepts that you have to have in mind when designing the panels of UI when they are static UI. When it comes to hand menus and all this stuff, that's another story.
Right.
But still, they can be applied. But let's focus on, when you go to a game and you have a big panel, and I don't know if you use Altspace or Altspace is not anymore, right?
Beat Saber,
anyway.
Right? Beat Saber also has
exactly all these panels that are around you, and you need to interact with them. So the first thing that comes to your mind when you are a UX UI designer and you say, okay, I want to do these panels, is like the frame, right? The artboard in Figma, the frames in Figma. Like, okay, I do need a frame to start doing something. But in VR, you don't really have a frame. That's obvious, right? Because it's a 360 environment. But still, you're a designer. You need a frame. So maybe I can share a screen and
please go ahead.
The Figma, and let's try to get this.
And by the way, guys, I really want to encourage you. I haven't asked any question, but I think you really should, guys, because this is like a very good opportunity to talk with someone that has evolved his career and is very likely gonna have very good insight on what you guys. So let me also make it even bigger. Oops. Let me make this even bigger so that we give more room to you. Yep, here we go.
Okay, perfect. So that's something that, so that's the answer, right? Okay, your Figma frame should be 2304, or it can be also full HD. But how is it where this is coming from? So there are different resources on the internet. There's Google has some guidelines. Then Meta has also some guidelines as well, but they can have their own rules, but they cannot match. Then there's in LinkedIn, there's also some courses around that they work around the same concept. So if we take this frame as our frame where we are going to work, this is our final outcome, just to put it in place, okay? This will be the outcome. But here is an angular grid that this makes a lot of sense when you are in VR, because it's like, let's say you have this angular grid here, right in your face, and you can actually, and I can tell you, look at 30 degrees, and you can feel how looking at 30 degrees actually feels like. Okay, I need to turn my leg a little bit.
Okay, wait a second, Albert. Wait a second. That depends how far this is, right?
Exactly.
So,
Exactly.
when you're telling me, because if this panel was at 5 meters from me, I'm pretty sure that working at that thing wouldn't be 30 degrees, right?
Exactly. It would be very different when this is super close on when
Right.
this is. This is intended to be at 1 meter. This grid
Okay.
is designed by Google and
Okay.
is intended to be at 1 meter. So
Okay.
at this point, if this was in VR, it should have a little curve, you know, like a little curve. So
Sometimes.
Yeah. So that's the main the first thing that we need to understand. So when we are designing here, we must know that this is the comfort area. So everything out of 30 degrees here is going to feel, I mean, it's still comfortable. You still can place UI here. There's no problem about this, but it's not the focus area. It's not where the user look right away. Okay.
Right. So it's the place where you would need to turn your head in order to see it well.
Not
Right.
that.
The edge.
That's
The edge. Neck
yeah.
comfort.
That would be around
Okay.
here,
Right.
not here.
Right. Okay.
So then, having this in mind, and we have the neck comfort limit, as you said. So 60 degrees is like, okay, I need to actually turn my head, and it's like actually I've turned my head around here. That's starting to be uncomfortable, like even the body, if you ask me.
Right.
But that's the area. So okay, having that in mind, this, as you can see, is the comfort area, this circle here. So this is the area that we can place our UI, and it's very comfortable to look at. It's right in the middle. All the main information can be here. And then here, I can obviously place here. Otherwise, I have a little tiny panel. So I can use this space as well. But have in mind that everything that goes far from goes away from here tends to at 1 meter tends to go away. So you need to carve it a little bit.
Mm-hmm.
So, and then we have the design, right? Okay, so I can say, all right.
Yeah.
So,
and then by the way, Albert, let's also, and we are going to go in VR, because right now I think we are also understanding each other, because maybe we know where this is going when we are in VR. But when you have a flat panel at 1 meter, then the text starts to have aliasing, because it's not facing you, right? It is at a parallax compared to what you are talking about, right? So this is why you're saying it needs to be slightly curved, right?
Exactly.
Mm-hmm.
Yes, you need to curve a little bit. And the main thing of this, so you can design here, and obviously in terms of UX, in terms of the UI, all this work can be done in Figma. But until you need to go in VR to actually feel it, because when you go to VR, you put this. When you design here, you always design as if it was it was meant to be at 1 meter. Then in VR, you need to tell the developer, hey, I want this to be at 5 meters. So the developer will go and they will scale this by 5. But you design at the scale 1:1. But you need to feel this in VR, because actually this UI in VR is taking the same space at 1 meter that 10 meters. But the feeling is obviously very different. It's like if I have paper here.
I think we really need to be in VR in order to see this. But sorry, Albert, if I interrupt, I just have a question that I think it's good from people, and I would like to get answer. So Matt is in a UX bootcamp for web mobile, but is eager to start designing for AR and VR. Do you think it's important to work in a mobile space before moving into AR and VR? So is it important to start testing your skills on mobile before stepping into AR VR?
That's an interesting question. I would say that in terms of UI, the foundations of UI, you'll find more information, examples, people to follow, and get inspired when in the mobile UI industry or desktop industry in terms of UI foundations, which are also necessary to go here. That's what I think. And in terms of AR, AR is mostly now mobile and tablet probably. So a lot of applications and stuff is happening in mobile in terms of AR so far, until we don't have these headsets, So I think in terms of UI, it makes sense. And in terms of UX, yeah, the same. So it's all about the journey, but UX is not a device thing. It's just a user thing, right?
Yeah, exactly. That is yeah, and you can have UX about products, right? About physical products, about venue design or interaction design. So then it's much broader. Yeah. So please go ahead, Albert. I just thought it was important to answer the questions, and if you have others, please keep them coming. But we were discussing about this slightly. Oh no, we were discussing about how different it feels when this panel is at different sizes and in different distances, right?
Yeah, I just want to add first that I would people to know that this Figma file here is in Figma Community, so you can download it under ShapesXR account. It's called UI Design Guidelines, and actually here you can get started with shapes, get these guidelines from, in first hand, have these templates, and if you decide to start playing around, let's see how it works, but that's the key, test and fail and do stuff, and you can here actually activate these guides. So all what I've just explained is you can understand it, it's okay, and I think it's important, but you can start using directly here and try your UI. Yeah, that's that's
no, absolutely. T1 save it. So I think he has Matt is also asking, yes, it's in the Figma community. Yes, it is. And I think you're also going to receive it in the wrap-up email. So I think I'm going to get the link from Albert together with some other very, very valuable video that actually you have created, showing really step-by-step how to actually go and import this UI to visualize it in VR, right? Because again, I mean, we are here from Shapes, and we really believe that it's important to give designer the ability to view your design directly in VR, and we see how does it feel in an environment, for example, right? And maybe you have the idea of having a login screen, or maybe something that starts at the beginning, but then maybe you want to attract the attention with another step of maybe the training or the experience, and then the UI is not just in front of you, it's localized on a certain area of the environment, right? So where would I position this? So these are also very important thing, and something that indeed Shapes allows to do with the Figma plugin. But maybe, Albert, why don't you do one thing? Maybe why don't you show like briefly how you can, for example, get, because now we are going in Shapes, so some of these concepts that you have explained, how do you actually get a panel made, or panel components, or a frame in general, and how do you get it from Figma into Shapes?
Yeah, of course. Yeah, let's do this. So when you have the design ready, so what you do is you, for instance, go to here, and then you can copy link. Obviously, I'm going to do this using Shapes. So if you have a Shapes account or a Shapes, Shapes account, so then you can go to import it, and here that's the one that I already have. So if you can you see? Yeah, the whole
Yeah,
thing.
yeah, we
Right?
can still see everything. Yeah.
Okay. So you copy link, and then you go to shapes and Control V, or you can do it from this button here, but you can do it quickly and Control V, and that's here. So that's the Figma, the login in Figma. And if I do, I don't know, let's say, is it a color? So if I do this change, for instance, here, I can actually sync that frame. So if you do little tweaks as you design, I don't know
Right.
if you can see, but it
Yeah,
changed.
yes, we can. We can.
All right.
Right.
So
So basically, you
now,
can have all your UI and still make some changes while you are in Figma, and then have those changes synchronized live in Shapes.
exactly, that's correct.
Right.
Or
Right.
you
Right.
can take, for instance, one panel, or let's say I group this, and I want this whole thing because I want to test the whole panel, and I go here, Control V again,
We have
and then
suspense.
I get
Here we go.
here. All right.
Right.
So that's the first step. So now we have the Figma design in shapes. So we can say that it's already in VR, but we need to bring it to VR. So we can do that. Maybe I should share
So we do it?
the yeah.
Yeah. Let's do it.
Let's join
I
there.
join you. And by the way, while you do that and while I set up this, maybe also as an introduction, so for who doesn't know, and maybe who is using Shapes, right? Have you used it for your own design? Because Shapes is a design and prototyping tool that allow to design and prototype your for XR. So we are talking about mixed reality, virtual reality, and it has this powerful creative tool set that you can use to start assembling your UI, creating the environment, and then tell a story using what is basically, we call it the frame or stage system. So it's not just a static design, but you can have this design kind of like move and having like frames, a bit like frames you have in Figma. So let me and join together with Albert, and maybe if we have some time at the end, we are going to see if we can invite other folks by sharing the space code. But for now, just to make sure that this doesn't escalate into chaos, we can keep it like that. Do you have? We have Jenki. I love the ShapesXR tutorial. I will tell this to Jeremy. I think he's going to be very proud. He's our great instructor. And by the way, talking about instruction, I think that if anybody is curious to know more about Shapes work, you can go directly on our website, and in there you can join one of our onboarding. They are open. We do this twice a week. You can book a time and be connected with other creatives and just learn how to do XR design. So let me now go. How are you, Albert?
I'm trying to broadcast.
Yeah, it takes a while recently.
Yeah.
So
Is it
I am
working
entering.
right? Can you see?
Yeah, it's working. It is a little bit laggy, but probably it's not your fault. Let's mute in Shapes.
And am I sharing my screen? Yeah. So can you see?
Yes, you're sharing the screen, and just maybe mute in Shapes, and then we are good to go. Hello, Albert.
Yeah. Okay. Hello. All right. So where we were. So now we've put the Figma file in VR. Gabriel, are you here?
Okay.
Okay. So yes. and now what we are about to do is, okay, let's take that Figma file. So we go here and in assets and library, and here are the two frames that I just imported, and you can sync them also from here, from Shapes, right? So now I want to place the login. and this won't be activated by default. So since these are UI elements, so I activate this toggle. And what we've said before, right? We design as it was meant to be at 1 meter, but maybe now I want it to be at 50 centimeters, for instance. So let's say here it's 1 meter. I'm going to say 0.5, 50 centimeters. So I grab it and I have it already here in VR. Okay, great. It's here. So now, how do I place this at 50 centimeters, right? So this is the viewport. And when I grab the object, as you can see here, this is the snapping system, right? So now it's at 1 meter. If you see these little dots here, they are 1 meter from each other.
Right.
Okay. So I go to this and I've said 50, right? So now they are 50 from each other. So where is my viewport? This is my viewport. So what I do now is grabbing no, I cannot grab it. Do I use it? I'm having some kind of lagging here.
Oh, yeah, I can also not grab it.
Yeah, that's the live. Let's import it again.
Let me see.
I can grab this one. Okay. So I don't know why this remains here. So now this is the viewport. And as I said, I want it at 50 centimeters, right? So that's my viewport. And that's 50. That's 1 meter, 1 meter and 50. So this is 50 centimeters. And more or less, it should be like this.
Right. That's so I can like teleport now, and this will be 50 centimeters for me, right?
Exactly. That's 50 centimeters from me.
And maybe you can also teleport indeed to show people. Yes. So this is like the 50 centimeters for people, right?
Exactly. Okay. So now you can actually test it. You can see, okay, my UI is easy to read. The button is big enough to be clickable. You know, so you can actually see how it works. Another important concept now that we are here is like if you try to, your intuition probably tells you that you need to place your UI right at the same height of the eyes of your user, right? Like, okay, I want it to be seen right in front. So let's say what happens if we do that. That's exactly the same, you know, so more or less the same. Can you see that maybe it's not visible while broadcasting, but this UI now is super high.
It's very high. And this is one of the reasons, you know, when you are in VR, you do see it. But when you are instead outside, just like, okay, where is this panel going to be positioned? And you have your developers that is going to just start splashing where you said, and he's going to put it directly in the eye. But indeed, as you mentioned, it has to be slightly lower because humans tend to look downwards. They don't look straight or upwards kind of thing. So this is another important thing. So when you have your UI, remember to not necessarily have to put it straight. The center of the UI shouldn't be straight at the eye of the user. Correct. That's what you were saying, right?
Exactly. That's the point, because the first thought is, okay, right in the middle, and then the UI, you have to look up, and it's very uncomfortable. And that's pretty much it. How you put your UI here, and then if you say, okay, I want it at 1 meter instead, so you say, okay, now I want to try it at 1 meter. So you go.
By the way, Albert, just 1 second. There is one question. Someone is asking, can you share your ShapesXR code? Is it okay to join the space? Yes, give us 10-15 minutes less, and then we can share the code, and then we can have a party in here with everybody that wants to join.
Of course, that sounds great.
Yes, so this now you have set an import at 1 meter, right? So it is now, right? It is further away, but then it still takes my same field of view within the space because it's a bigger UI, correct?
Exactly, but it takes the same space, but it obviously feels far away.
Right.
That's the main thing. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Right.
And then
So,
in
mhm.
this space, this space is also available for you if you want, because in this space, all these concepts that we've been talking right now, they are actually explained here. So if you go to stage 2,
Yeah.
you can actually test them.
Right. So let's go and let's see now. So we were discussing. Oh, right. Here we have also the big panel on stage 4. Maybe we can show them what we were talking about. Right. So one question is, why is this 69th? Like why? Like why it's like looks like a TV? Is there a reason why couldn't it be maybe a different aspect ratio? Sorry, I just don't get it.
Yeah, well, it might be is the aspect ratio. So it might be also 1920. So is the aspect ratio. In the Figma file, there
Mhm.
are the 2 frames. The reason is that big, I don't really know. So
Okay.
that's how Google recommended to have it. And I guess it's because you already have a frame and the degrees at 1 meter fit in. So
Right.
it makes sense to me. And
Right.
when you are designing, you have this one and the other one that's a little bit smaller. Then so your UI gets bigger when you export. It kind of looks better.
Okay. So and then there is also the next part was indeed the grid, right, with the degree, right, to show how basically you need to slightly turn your head in some situation, right, when this is outside of a certain comfort zone. So maybe we can also show that, I think.
Yeah, exactly. So and here you can actually notice how as at this point it
Uh-huh.
tends to make this parallax effect. So at this point, you would need to probably, if you have a panel here at 1 meter or
Mhm.
here, so you probably would need to, instead of having it this way, going towards this, probably
Start turning.
you would need to make it like this,
Right.
because it
Right.
will
Can
feel.
you can you maybe give me quickly editing access so that maybe I can show how this co-creation works maybe,
Yes, of course.
because now we are here and maybe I can illustrate.
Yes, you should be able to edit.
Let me see.
This got stuck here.
I do not right now, but okay, fine. Okay, doesn't
Uh,
matter for now, but we can.
now let's see if you can now. I can change it. Can
Oh
edit.
yeah, now we got it. So you were saying about this, that means basically like let's use maybe a different color, and it is something like you said from 30 degrees, right? So like
Mhm.
this,
Yeah.
right? So this
So
is the kind
you
of
can
like,
still put your UI here, because sometimes you maybe have maybe you have such a big panel in the middle, like where you put some 3D models or something. So you have
uh-huh.
some a big model and you want the attention of the user here, and you don't mind about the secondary menu or whatever.
Right.
So you can, or even you wanna experiment and say, hey, I want a big layout, like it's like this. I'm
Uh-huh.
aware
Uh-huh.
that my user is going to turn their body, but why not? I don't know which experience are you designing, so
Yeah.
it might make sense, but just be aware of that.
Yeah. So
So
per
you
se,
can,
having the user to move is not per se something bad, right? I mean, this is it can be part of the experience.
yeah, definitely. It's all about testing and being sure that things are working. So if you have your main menu and it's a main navigation menu, so don't put it like here, but you might want, you might have an experience that is more like, okay, when you click here, I give you a hint that goes there. But obviously, when it comes to UI and navigation, the recommended is like, okay, let's focus on this area. So
Right.
we make sure that our users are going to see it all at a glance, and they will be able to navigate. Navigation is probably one of the most important things on any app. It's VR, mobile, desktop, it doesn't matter. So the navigation, obviously, try to put it here.
Right. So, and for navigation means how to, where kind of like choices are made, where is that your next action is going to be, and where you confirm or deny, let's say, where the experience kind of like flows. Correct.
Yeah, totally.
Okay, so I do have another question from Matt. He says there seem to be a lot of UX designers saturating the mobile job market. Do you think UX for VR will quickly become saturated as well? If so, is that coming soon, or will there be always a niche? Oof.
Oof. That's a very good question. That's a very good question. I don't think I know how saturated UX industry is at that moment in terms of UX UI, but I don't think that will happen soon in the VR and XR industry. So I think there's still a huge opportunity if you're interested on that to make an impact, to be part of these bases that are being created right now. So Apple still has not devised. There's a lot to do, but I don't think in a short period there will be this huge competition. I mean, for that to happen in mobile and desktop industry, it's been years. It's
Decades.
like it was
Decades.
not. Yeah, it wasn't the day before iPhone was released. It was step by step, so you still have time to come in.
Yes. So let's also do one thing. Albert, do you think we can share the space code and see what happens, or we wait a little while and you wanted to show something else?
No, yeah, of course. Let's share the code.
Okay, so I have, oh, right, you can just show it. It's in there, or I'm posting it in the comment for the people that are on YouTube, so that everybody can actually see it. And now let's see who's gonna join us. Let's go to stage one in this beautiful Formula One track. By the way, where did you got the skybox?
Yeah, that's for the how is it called? I don't remember. They have a tricky name.
It's nothing to do with 3D or skyboxes, like
No, it's Block Labs.
blockade labs.
Blockade Labs. That's it. I do have here some nice car I can put in.
Oh yes. Let's get to do some driving as well. Oh, we got someone. We got Bernard. He was the one asking, so at least he's delivering on this. Hi, Bernard. Nice to see you. And apologies, you cannot. We cannot hear, and people cannot hear you. But you can still hear us through the streaming, right? So let's say hi. Hi, Bernard.
Hi, Bernard.
Hi, nice to see you. So here we are, and look, we even got a Formula One car for you. So check this out. Maybe a little bit
That's the,
bigger, right? I think more or less like this.
that's the
Yeah.
one with the wheels. It's pretty awesome to get people. to get in.
We got more people joining. So we got Artem, Jababao. Hello, everybody. So, and by the way, you have this space, and everybody at a later time, you can actually go in and experience what we have been discussing actually live. And this is done using the stage system. So, on your left thumbstick, maybe you can show it now, Albert, while I'm talking about it. So, on your left thumbstick, you have this little stage pop-up menu, these little frames that will appear. Maybe you can show it now, Albert, that you are streaming.
Yeah.
And then using that and moving that right towards the right, you can actually change the stage and see different part of the story. So indeed, I also see Artem that is teleported to the viewpoint so that he can actually see from that specific perspective how the UI looks like. And indeed, so you can actually experience this with your UI. And we do have our our very own Paul. Hi, Paul. Nice to see you. And let's do one thing. Paul, I am sending you the invite to StreamYard if you want to join, so that you can get the audio in. So we have got quite a crowd. So
yeah, it's awesome.
And I mean, this is indeed the beauty in a way. So you can get and create your own design, and then you can get other people to actually join you easily and review, discuss, and even ideate together. So this is really indeed some of the value. And we got people keep coming. Hi, Tebis. So not sure if Paul is going to join with our audio on StreamYard. I send the link on Slack, Paul, in case you want to join. But otherwise, please also, if you have any question, please go in here and ask. Let me see if people are. Let me see. So here we are. Maybe let's see. And we do have, of course, now this is an example. We do have many other spaces and example that you can actually load and use. So I invite everybody to actually try, for example, the templates and load them and see how those other pre-made space actually look like. And we've got Paul now here. Hi, Paul. Thanks for having you. Nice to have you.
Hey, guys. I just was watching and I thought I'd come join you.
In case you don't know, guys, there is a settings. There's an option in settings that says increase quality on the bottom. So you can actually toggle it and you'll see how all of a sudden the UI gets clearer,
crisper,
to read. So for for quick prototyping, that is not that important, but for UI, especially where there is text and these things, it gets actually better to see.
Absolutely, it does make a huge difference to be able to actually see how this UI would actually look in VR in Unity. So anybody that is interested, you can import your own UI, then use that quality toggle that Albert just shows. It's under the setting, the last toggle, and then you can actually try and see and really test the readability of your own UI. So I also want to thank again everybody that joined, guys. I mean, you are amazing. We have Bernard, Artem, Jabobao, Alfredo, of course, our very own Paul. So thank you very much, everybody that joined. I think it's always a pleasure to see how easy it actually is to get in VR.
Paul is racing.
Yeah, does anybody want to go on a race with me? I thought we could get our teleport tool out and then we can just race around the track.
Okay. I mean, Wait.
To get the teleport tool out, you press up on your dominant hand's joystick, and then
Okay.
you hold that. Then you press trigger to go around the track.
Okay, but don't cheat, Jababa. No,
Okay,
wait.
you guys ready? Okay.
No. Someone has to say start.
Yeah. I'll count us down. Get back on the start line, people. Well, they already started.
We don't like.
On your marks.
I'm gonna be the camera. Okay, so I can.
Okay, go.
So
Are we
on your
ready?
marks, get set, go.
Okay. Oh, wait. What? Where does the track go?
Gabrielle, oh, you're winning. Hey, come back here. Whoa.
I went off road. Oh no.
Yeah. I'm the ultimate clicker. Wait, is anybody behind me? Oh no! They're all catching up.
There is a dead end here.
Oh, right into the what?
Oh,
Wow,
right
into
into
the
a
wall.
Ay. No. I think no. That was Albert. This was your design. This track sucks. I'm sorry.
Oh, somehow, yeah.
It was for a demo, quick prototyping.
No. Not acceptable. Not acceptable.
That was
Okay.
Good times, guys.
So thank you very much, Paul. Maybe let's hop off. Let's gather any last questions that we have before we say goodbye. But again, thank you everybody really that joined, and encourage really to use this space and create your own, import your own Figma UI, because that is really like a great way to be immersed and make an assessment how that's gonna look like when you are in 3D, right? So thanks, Paul, again for joining.
Yeah.
Bye, Paul.
Cool. Bye, everybody.
So let's go back, just the two of us, and say goodbye to everybody here that joined. Of course, happy to, if you guys want to stay, no problem. We're just going to hop off, see if we have any other questions, and then close it for today. Let's go back, and here we are. So this is how... So, indeed, Jenki is saying a good point. I'm seeing 24 watching, but 16 likes. Who missed likes? Right? Who missed a like? But no, thank you very much. So maybe while we finish and wrap this up, let me see. Do we have any unanswered questions still? Let me see if we have. Otherwise, I invite also anybody to actually ask your own. So maybe one question that I still do have, that I still have, Albert, is, so let's say that we have done all this work, right? And we have done our Figma import, and then we have go get our stuff. We have tested it in Shapes to make sure that it kind of works. What is the next step? I mean, usually, what do you hand over to developer, or maybe share with your product owner?
Yeah, that's a really good question, because we are, there's some considerations you need to have in mind. That, for instance, the height, what we've been talking about, the distance as well. So, right. And a lot of testing before you hand over, but that's, typical in any design process. But I would focus on if you're doing the specifically the UI design, because that's what we're talking about now. If you're doing more like 3D interactions, then storyboards work perfectly fine to communicate with developers, to share ideas, and that's what Shapes is for, to communicate something real quick. And in your handover process, so you have two options, right? Like, well, one option that is document everything. But then what we do in Shapes a lot to communicate, complex concepts and something that is difficult to, especially when it comes to distances and all this stuff, or when you want some sort of a feeling, or you want some UI that you want it specifically in some way. So going to Shapes and say, hey, I want it this way, and I want it this way, and trying it before. It's also a way to hand over the design, even the space code. So we share the space code and say, hey, here are the specifications where you can actually see by stages. The developer can go in and can see it all. And then obviously in the documentation you put distance 2 meters and so on.
Right. So yeah. And by the way, there is also another question here, not necessarily related, but question to Gabriele. Do you usually prefer using your Quest Pro with the light blocker or without, and why? So when we're talking about light blocker, we're actually talking about this, right? So for everybody that doesn't know, these are pieces that you actually can remove. Good reason to maybe clean my headset. But nonetheless, so these are the light blockers that I always stay with personally, because I kind of like to be immersed in the environment. And honestly, I really don't like it that there is so much light leak under. So that is just personally me. So I don't like that there is so much that I can see from the real world. It might feel handy. It is a bit handy because you can always raise a bit and you don't need to kind of like remove the headset. But when you're kind of like, I'm VR, I want to stay in VR, I want to stay immersed, especially then if I play a game, it's just really like a deal breaker. It just like gets so distracted because of that. So that is at least mine. But there is another question from Matt. Albert, what are most excited about the future of VR and how it will impact society?
Wow. And yeah, that's a good one. So the most exciting part for me in the VR space or XR space, I'd say, is the AR. Like, I see a game changing in AR. Like, that's when all this will make sense for everyone. That's when all that's why I like the pass-through feature that we have in Shapes, because you can actually start designing for AR, but the devices are not there. And the way I see it is like this will have a great impact. So I've been reading articles about there is an AR concept that help people that with disabilities to move through the airports, for instance, using AR, and all this kind of stuff that can actually help people. Because the main point I see in AR is like, now we are used to go like this, looking at the phone, and with this hand is busy. So when we'll have these AR devices, our friends will be free again. And for me, the way I see it, that's a huge change. And maybe when this all AR stuff is adopted and is with us, then people will start get interested in the magic of VR. Like, okay, now that I have these glasses,
So we go backwards in a way.
You go backwards. Now that you put the glasses on me, now I can just close it and be in another world. Maybe I interested in that now that I have the glasses, not before.
Right.
But that's my theory. That's my,
There is also another point that is like, when you mention about phones and you mention about glasses, I also wonder how will our attention be, right now. It happens that when we go look down, we kind of like are focused, and we walk and we use our phones. And then what's going to happen when we can actually get that kind of content? Will we be more focused on the digital world, on the real world, because we have that distraction localized somewhere? Or is it something that instead we will compete with the real world? So how we design experiences that actually do not compete with reality? Because when you have a phone, you make a deliberate decision, right? You make a deliberate decision to take it out of your pocket, hold it in your hand, and look down, right? That is with all the risks that implies. One, instead, when you are on glasses and you have this digital content of any sort, right? It could be a pop-up, it could be a notification. How does that work? How does the user keep agency on when being distracted? Because this is a very deliberate action. I'm doing and unlocking. When I'm there, how's that gonna work? So I'm really curious. Like, these experiences are gonna be, it's gonna be incredible to see how this evolves. And I'm God knows how many mistakes, how much stuff is gonna happen, and while we are gonna learn how to actually properly design experiences that completely revolutionize the way we interact with digital content in the real world. So we do have, by the way, a question to you, Paul, if you're still around. Albert Mauri do you have some channel of videos to follow, Paul? So maybe I can answer one. You can certainly follow Paul on LinkedIn. He does post some of his concept. The other day posted one about how he sees AI act as an agent during like a creative process. That was really inspiring. So one way in which you could follow him is on LinkedIn. I'm not sure if he has. Albert, do you know if Paul has a YouTube channel?
I don't think so, but he should.
Not that I know. Not that I know. So check him on LinkedIn.
On LinkedIn,
So-
he posts everything in LinkedIn, and it's
Yeah,
amazing.
so I think that's a good way. So, guys, I wanted to thank Albert again for being with us tonight. I wanted to thank everybody that joined, either in VR or here in the chat, writing comments and being with us, asking questions. So it is really like a pleasure to have you here, and but especially Albert for having us taught so much. Do not forget to check FloatGrid, to check the design on the Figma community. You're gonna get the link, and of course, start using shapes, invite people, and design this new world. Thank you very much, Albert.
Thank you.
Bye bye, everybody, and see you around.